Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dilly, and I can officially say wrestling finishers are dead. Here's why. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Dilly Show this week. Here's your host, a man who had his mic sensitivity way too high this entire recording and didn't notice. This is Dilly! So as I'm recording this, Raw just debuted on Netflix last night, and it was a great show pretty much overall. There was definitely a few stinker moments here and there. I'm not here to review the whole show. I may talk about a few different things that happened on the show, but I'm not here to review the whole thing. There's really one thing that caught my eye during the show that no one else is talking about, so I figured I might as well. Wrestling finishers were devalued so much on this episode of Raw, it's honestly appalling to me. It honestly makes me sad as a wrestling fan how much wrestling finishers were devalued here tonight. So I don't have many notes from all the matches. I don't know how bad it was in the rest of the matches, but there's two in specific, two matches I want to look at, and it's really sickening how terribly they were doing these wrestling finishers. So the main event was Seth Rollins and CM Punk. That's like my biggest culprit in today's issue, I guess, but we're going to get to that later. We're going to talk about Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan. So that was the first match I really noticed it. Overall, I mean, the match was mid. It was not a great match. I was expecting a lot more out of it, but it was just typical Judgment Day interference that didn't really make it made sense. It didn't make sense. Okay, so obviously Liv Morgan has Dom Dom and she has Raquel. Those two interfered on Liv's behalf. What didn't make sense to me was the fact that Damian Priest didn't come out to help Rhea, because they were literally together doing a talk show segment later that night. So the fact that Rhea had two people outside the ring going against her for Liv, and Damian didn't make an appearance, didn't really make sense to me. I know Damian's kind of dealing with just Finn, he's not really dealing with the whole Judgment Day anymore, but if he is supporting Rhea Ripley, he should have been out there. That doesn't really have anything to do with finishers, it's just that one bit of that match made no sense. So leading up to the finish, I'm pretty sure Liv hit a couple of her finishes. She hit one. I guess this is kind of where the debate can start. So a steel chair gets thrown into the ring by, I believe, Raquel. And Liv hits her, what does she call it? Oblivion onto the steel chair and gets a 2 count. That wasn't great. I'm used to seeing Rhea as this way too dominant figure, though. So, I mean, I wasn't surprised to see her kick out of the Oblivion off the chair. But what really upset me was at the end of the match, when Rhea hits one Riptide, does not go for the pin. This is her finishing move. That's at least how she wants it to be portrayed. It is her signature move. That's what I'll honestly call it, because I don't think there are really finishers in wrestling nowadays. So she hits her signature, the Riptide, and doesn't go for the pin. Even though the Riptide usually can end a match. One can usually end a match. But she hits one and doesn't even bother going for the pin. She instead hits another Riptide and gets the pin. Rhea Ripley, new women's champion, whatever. It was great. Happy Rhea's champ. She's good. But why'd she need to hit 2 Riptides? Like, I get it, it's like a final nail in the coffin. Like, just to make sure you don't kick out, I'm gonna hit you with a second one. I can get it from that perspective to a degree, but if you fear that someone is going to kick out of your move, you don't have a good move. If it's a question in your mind that your opponent, after receiving your finisher, is going to kick out, then you should reevaluate and get a different finisher. Realistically. I get it's wrestling, it's scripted, it's predetermined, but if you're a combat sports guy, let's say for a bit you were hitting like a question mark kick, or, a step up something or other, maybe just like a spinning back kick, and it was knocking people out left and right. But then you realize people start blocking it, or people start, I guess somehow building a tolerance to it and not getting knocked out by a spinning back kick. You should reevaluate at that point as a combat fighter, like MMA, and decide, you know what? Maybe I'll go for something else to finish the match. That's just how it works, right? Like, that makes sense. Why would Rhea still hit this move that has proven itself not worthy of finishing Liv Morgan? Now, I get it. Liv Morgan's champion. She's this, she's that. She's like 5'2", skinny as piece of paper. If you can't put her away with one riptide, that genuinely makes the riptide look horrible. I don't care how Liv Morgan is booked. I don't care how Rhea Ripley is booked. I don't care how the fucking riptide is booked. If you cannot put Liv Morgan away with one riptide, you should not be using the riptide as a finisher. Because there are several other women that it only takes one riptide to put them away, and that's how it should be. It should only take one finish to put people away. But we live in this modern society of wrestling where everything's a spectacle. Every show is the biggest show. This is an episode of Raw, and they're pulling out the typically what's saved for the PLE spot of doing multiple finishers. I'm not surprised, because, they were booking this Raw like a PLE. Like, it was supposed to kind of be in place of PLE, because it's a big deal. Raw's on Netflix now, and I get it. But did you really have to do two finishers? It's a little thing. I won't deny that. And it's probably silly that I'm going off about it as much as I am. But I come as someone who loves the pro wrestling business. I come as someone who sees the pro wrestling business. And I come as someone who wants the pro wrestling business to be respected. If you want to make an impact, if you want to show someone that you have a great move and it's going to do the job, you hit one of them and it ends the match. If you have to hit multiple, that move means absolutely nothing at this point. You could kick a person in the gut 2 times and then get a pin. If you do your finisher 2 times to win a match, it's fucking ridiculous. Now let's move on to the main event. Because not only did CM Punk have to hit 2 GTSs to win the match, which I love, obviously, as you can tell. I love the fact that he had to hit 2. Not only that, they also did a lot of finisher trading in this match, which I'm also not a fan of, and it takes the luster away from finishing moves. Seth Rollins hits the worst go-to-sleep I have ever seen in my entire life, including the GTSs I was hitting in the backyard when I was 13 years old. His GTSs were absolute trash. Punk hits a curb stomp, and it's absolute trash. Don't let other people hit your finish, even if you're in the match. Don't let other people hit your finish and make it look bad. Because that's what both of them did. And what happened was, when CM Punk eventually teased for the GTS, I didn't really care. Because I'd already seen the move done in the match. Even if it wasn't done by him. It takes away the luster from it. And they don't realize that. And if they do realize it, I don't understand why they continue doing it. Because it should be a big deal when Punk finally gets Seth up for the GTS at the end of the match. He should... Okay, here's what you should do. Leading towards the end of the match, or even mid-match, or even early match, you can do this at any point in the match. Punk should grab his arm and go to lift him up, but then Seth elbow, and then gets down. Or Seth slides off the back, gets down. Or Seth turns it into a DDT, gets down. He should never get even close to hitting the GTS. You should build it up as, oh, the GTS is coming, it's coming, it's coming. Build suspense. Lead to a climax, and that climax at the end of the match is Punk hitting 1 GTS. The fans popping, the fans going apeshit. He hit it! He hit the GTS! And then he fucking wins with 1 single move, and the fans are still on the edge of their seats because they're so happy they just saw him hit this 1 move. Same goes for Seth. You can go for the curb stomp, and the GTS is a bit more of a... It's an easier move to reverse, get out of, without him getting anywhere near hitting it. Obviously, if Seth's going for the stomp, you can be bent over and he can run at you and you can just kind of move, but that doesn't really look... It's not visually as striking. He could always jump for it and you move, and, like, it can work. You can do things with that. The GTS is definitely easier because you have to get them up in the fireman's carry first. You can hold a guy in the fireman's carry for an hour before they do something. So realistically, in a reversal of a GTS is easier to pull off than a reversal of a stomp. Either way, it can be done. Build suspense. Don't just do moves in the middle of a match for no reason. I don't know where this change of the guard happened, but like it happened a long time ago. Wrestlers' finishers have meant nothing. I think it was like really... I mean, it could have been Japan. I don't know. It could have been Japan. It wasn't AEW because it happened before AEW was a thing, but it could have been the Young Bucks that caused it. I don't know. With their fucking super kicks. Something happened about, I would say, as far as modern wrestling goes, 10 years ago it might have happened. I feel like it might have been when Reigns and Lesnar were having their Mania matches, and it was just constant F5 spear, F5 spear. They're just tapping L1 on PS2. Like, Superman punch, spear, F5, Kimura, F5, spear, Superman punch, spear, run off the ropes, run off the ropes, run off the ropes, run off the ropes, spear. Like, it's shit booking. And these are like your big quality, like big blow-off matches that you're doing this for. And it's the worst booking. Like, how does that make sense? Like, I get building suspense, but building suspense is not just spamming L1. Building suspense is not hitting your finisher. The finisher should be the suspense you're building. You should be building towards hitting the finisher, not hitting a finisher to build towards hitting another finisher, to build towards hitting another finisher, to build towards getting a 2 count. It's ridiculous. And I hope at least a couple people see what I'm talking about, because it's honestly irking me to the point of no end. Wrestling finishers need to be protected. They need to mean something. And right now they mean absolute nothing. They don't mean anything. You can finish a match with any move right now as long as you hit 2 of them. Like, it's so dumb. I'm thankful they didn't hit 3. Like, either of them. I know Cody Rhodes, like, okay. The only time I can almost exclude matches from having to not spam finishers is like a main event of WrestleMania. A big match main event. If you're gonna do the stupid, let's hit 5 finishers in this match thing, save it for the main event of Mania. Save it for the biggest match of the year, and then we'll talk. Because, for example, when Cody Rhodes was fighting Roman Reigns, it was a huge deal. It was a big match. The biggest match. They had built to it for over a calendar year at that point. It was the biggest match of that year, and likely of the last 5, I would say, when Cody Rhodes finally beat Roman Reigns. And he had to pull out a trinity, which is what they call it, of crossroads. He had 3 crossroads in a row to pin Roman Reigns. I can get it from that perspective, because there's at least a level of storytelling to that kind of made it okay. It wasn't okay at all, but it was almost okay. It was close to being okay, but it wasn't. Still, even though it was the main event of Mania, that's the only time you can do a spot like that and it almost be okay. Like, if you're doing it on an episode of fucking Raw, that's just dumb. It's terrible booking. Build up to the finish. Build up to the finishing move, which doesn't even exist anymore. If Punk seriously attempted the GTS several times in that match, and then finally it's 1 at the end, why couldn't that have finished it? That would have been the perfect ending to that match. And fuck, he could have caught Seth off guard. Like, easy spot. Seth gets Punk bent down, runs at Punk, jumps for the stomp, but then Punk catches him! Oh, he's finally got it! GTS! Why can you not do that? Instead of having to hit 2. One thing that I also saw online after the fact was apparently Punk did that exact same spot with Jon Moxley in AEW. AEW is a place where they just do finisher after finisher after finisher with no remorse. But why would you lower yourself to that standard? Even if you're trying to make a statement against AEW, why would you lower yourself to that point of, yeah, you know what, I did that stupid spot in AEW, let's do that stupid spot here just because you were in a team with this guy one time over a decade ago. Like, it's so dumb. I get that there's like a lot of parallels between like Punk and the Shield, and he's faced all of them, and it's been a thing, but like, I don't care. It's not that important. Fuck. Like, it was a different company, and it was a stupid spot that didn't need to happen. I get it. He hits a GTS, and then the guy crumbles on top of him, and then Punk rises out of the rubble, and then hits another GTS. But why couldn't you just throw him to the mat and pin him if he's already crumbling on top of you? Like, clearly, he's not fit to keep wrestling. He's done. He's finished. Put his shoulders to the mat and push down. It's not hard. Wrestling is an extremely easy business to build moments, and you don't need to do it by using multiple finishers. I think that's really all I have to say. I'm going to keep an eye out for any match I watch from now on. I've been watching matches now with like the mindset of like, I want to see the psychology of it. I want to see the storytelling. I want to see why they do what they do and why it makes sense. But there's just some times when they do things and they don't make sense, and it's like, what do we do? Anyway, another episode of the Dilly Show done and dusted. This is kind of I knew it was going to be a short episode going into it. It's also like 2 days after a proper episode came out. I'm kind of just going apeshit on this Dilly Show thing right now, but I'm not complaining. I like it. I hope you guys are liking it too. If you did like this episode, of course, make sure to leave a comment, subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on the podcast platforms, follow me, like the episode, share with all your friends, and let me know what you guys think at my social medias at This Is Dilly. Let me know. I want to know how you guys feel about this discussion. Are finishers not protected enough? Are they protected too much? That'd be funny. I want someone to give me that as a valid argument. I want someone to try bringing that up and see how it goes. I guess one last thing I can really say is I want to think about protected finishers. I know I should have probably done that before I started doing my outro. But like, what is a really protected finisher that's been consistently protected? The only one I can think of in the past decade is Baron Corbin's End of Days. That's it. And he's smart for that. Like, I would very much assume that was his intention, keeping it a safe move. Like, I think maybe 2 people kicked out of it. Like, that's good. That's the kind of thing you want. I'm working on getting back into wrestling here shortly, and if I do end up actually lacing up the boots again and getting in the ring, which I really want to do, if I do and when I do, I'm going to have one move kind of set aside as the finisher, my finisher. Because I understand in modern wrestling, it's all about the fucking near falls. It's all about the false finishes. I would have to cater to that to some degree. Because, yes, those can get pops. But I'm not going to build this move that I'm ending all my matches with and then just use it as a false finish. I would have a secondary move. And I'm currently thinking about how I'm going to rank them. I kind of have like a finisher move in mind. It's been a finisher move that I've had in my mind for years now. So that's probably the one I'm going to keep as like the finisher. Like if I hit that, you are not kicking out. I have a couple others that I'm thinking of using as like finisher-esque moves. Like ones that I'm going to use to finish matches, but ones that I'm also okay with them being false finish moves. The problem is, like, people like Rhea, for example, she has one move that she does. She doesn't do any other, like, big finishers. She does the Riptide. She doesn't have a move that's guaranteed to put the rest, like, the other one away. Maybe the Riptide off the middle rope, that's a whole other fucking debate. Like, seriously. Don't just have to do your move off the middle rope for it to be significant. I remember when John Cena started doing the attitude adjustment off the middle rope, and it was awesome because A, it put the match away every time, and B, no one else was doing it. He like really started that trend, and fuck him for that. Because now everyone has to have a middle rope variant of their move that I'm trying to think if any middle rope finishers have been kicked out of. That would be disgraceful. Honestly, character butchering disgraceful. If that was the thing. Like, I would, like, imagine hitting a finisher off the middle rope and they kick out at 2. That would be the most disrespectful, character assassination bullshit. But I'm sure it's happened. Like, I for some reason, I'm thinking back to Becky Lynch. She used to do the Manhandle Slam, which is just a Uranagi with a stupid fucking name. She used to do that off the middle rope. And I want to say, I feel like Charlotte kicked out too. I could be wrong. I'm just envisioning in my head, because that's something Charlotte would do, because Charlotte does that. But, like, that would be such character assassination. I don't know. I'll have to go back and see, because I'm honestly curious now. I guess one last point. I'm surprised I'm going this long. I wasn't expecting this to be a long episode. But one final point, I guess. If you're going to hit a finisher and get it kicked out of, have it be done by bullshit means. Like, if for some reason, okay, say you're Rhea Ripley, right? You hit a Riptide, you cover Liv, 1, 2, but then, like, Dom pulls her out, or, like, someone interferes, someone distracts the ref. That's fine. You can do that. And I don't feel that bad as a wrestling fan about it. I don't feel like my intelligence has been disrespected. I just feel like, oh man, the heels are doing heel things. That's fine. What bothers me, I guess, kind of after that, is that Liv will get up and act like she didn't just get hit with a finisher and then kind of just do her own thing. Like, finishers are so not finishers anymore. I'm done this discussion. I really have nothing else to say that I haven't said already. I could stay here all night, all day, the rest of the year, talking about how I hate the fact that finishers aren't finishers. But I'll leave you guys be. Hope you did enjoy this one, as I mentioned. Follow me on socials at This Is Dilly. Like, subscribe, comment, follow, share. Do whatever you can do on whatever platform you're on. And I've been your host as always. This is Dilly. This is Dilly. Why am I doing Rob Van Dam? This is Dilly signing out.